Hi, Shalom. One of the major stresses in life is time. Especially we today seem to be always pressed for time. There are always deadlines, there are always emergencies. And a common complaint is, there's not enough time for me to do everything I want. Ironically, we're so stressed out about time that sometimes we forget what is time and what's the purpose of time. And we can learn a lot from children. You know, I'm not sure when children actually learn to read the clock, but I'm assuming 4 or 5 is not yet a concept of time that this child can truly understand. So, for example, if your child is anxious, say, in 5 minutes, we're going to do this and that. He has no idea. What does 5 minutes mean? But when you think about children, it's amazing. For them, it's not time, it's activity. So it's like this. After nap time, we go to the park. After mommy reads a story, we go to bed. After we wash our face, we get dressed. So now time is not really in 5 minutes and 10 minutes or 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. It's more like after we do a certain activity or before we do a certain activity, that's when we will be doing X, Y, and Z. And I think it's a very powerful concept to associate time with an activity. And that is why the worst possible thing is when there's nowhere to go and nothing to do, time is endless. It's almost a burden. What am I supposed to do with myself? In Judaism, time is not only associated with activity, but there's an element of time which is given over to men as well. So, for example, let's take a day of 24 hours, and then suddenly it comes Friday, and now the day is not only of 24 hours in the secular calendar, but whenever the sun sets, that's when Friday ends. Okay, let's take a step back for a moment. In the animal world, and even in botany, an animal doesn't go to sleep for 90 days in hibernation. There's a season when it goes out to hunt, and then there's a season or an element of time when there's no hunting to be done. If there's no hunting to be done, then obviously the thing to do would be is to hibernate or to rest. If you were a farmer, you didn't look at when does the day begin, 6 a.m. In the summer, your day might begin at 4:45 when the sun rises. And in the winter, your day might end at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because basically the sun is not shining anymore, I have nothing to do in the field. Again, time is synonymous with the activity. So getting back to Shabbos, when the sun sets, it's suddenly sacred time. So in the bank, it's still a bank day. They're not going to credit your check, whatever it might be, until tomorrow. For a Jew, tomorrow is now. Because Shabbat begins when the sun sets, approximately an hour later. Not only that, but there's an aspect of time which becomes, time itself becomes the activity. So, for example, let's say between eating meat and then having milchiks, dairy, the Ashkenazic custom in most cases is to wait 6 hours. Okay. What happens if you wait 5 hours and 45 minutes? Can you have now your ice cream after eating a hot dog some 5 hours and 45 minutes? No. How about 5 hours and 59 minutes? No. You say, it's only 1 minute. No. What happened is this time segment now, as if to say, became gates. This is a boxed-in time, or a restricted area. For those of you that are not perhaps familiar with the 6 hour between meat and dairy, how about the Sabbath? Okay? The Sabbath begins, let's, for argument's sake, at 7 p.m. And the Sabbath ends at 8 p.m. So you're keeping Sabbath, or the Shabbat, from 7 p.m. on Friday to Saturday, 7 or 6:45 p.m. So you kept almost the whole Shabbat. And now 1 hour before 8, you decide to cook a soup. In Jewish law, you broke the Sabbath, and now the soup that you deliberately cooked becomes treif, it becomes unkosher. You may not use it because it came through a sin. Where am I going with this? The beauty of our tradition is that time can always be linked with an activity, which gives time an additional measure of importance. So if a person, for example, has time on their hands, use it for a good purpose. Not it's neutral, or I have nothing really to do, so I may just pass through this time, but fill this time so now it becomes productive or becomes eternal. So you could fill it with a prayer, with a coin into the charity box, to a phone call to a loved one, and most fundamentally, open up a book, a Torah book, and read. The reason why I'm mentioning this now, because we are within the 30-day period before the Jewish New Year, before Rosh Hashanah. And we are told that the time currently before Rosh Hashanah are days in which we can actually fill with a type of a energy which is much greater than an ordinary minute, hour, or day. These days of preparation, the tradition tells us, can fill what was missing in 11 months and actually invigorate us and prepare us for a upcoming year. So don't allow time of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 6 p.m., 9 a.m. dominate your life. Let activities dominate your life. So you have to get up in the morning to daven. You have to go to bed so you could say the Shema at a certain time. All of the mitzvahs you'll see, or at least many of the mitzvahs, actually spiritualize time, which makes time something very, very important. Okay, let me not take any more of your time. Let me just wish you and myself Hatzlacha, success in using time appropriately.